Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Get to Know Them. Great to have you here today. If you have not tuned into this show before, I am your host, Monica Graves, and every week I interview someone from the community, somebody I know, someone may have referred to me, somebody of interest with a great story, because I want to share those stories with you. I started my talk show over the pandemic. I'm actually a jewelry designer and I broadcast live every week from my studio in Burlington, Ontario. So I have a very special treat for you today. Our guest is right on time for Valentine's Day. But before I introduce our guest, I wanted to tell you a little bit about our sponsors. So our very first show sponsor is Brenda Badone. She has been with me since I started. She's an amazing clothing designer located in Toronto, Ontario. I'm always wearing her clothes. And you can check out her website at brendabadone.com. Use the coupon code Get to Know Them, and you will receive 20% off your order. Our second show sponsor is a place that I love to hang out, Scooter's Roller Palace in Mississauga, Ontario. If you have not roller skated since your teens and you're thinking of revisiting it, I'm telling you, it is an amazing way to exercise and stay fit. And they do have lessons for adults on Thursdays at 7 p.m. So I highly recommend you check out a lesson and then join me for a skate. Scooters.ca, check them out. Our third sponsor is a very great friend of mine located in Oakville, Ontario, Chantel Ingram, and her business is Flourish and Bask. And she has the most amazing selection of alcohol-free cocktails and wines and sparkling wines and all kinds of things. So make sure you check her out. You can also use the coupon code Get to Know Them for 10% off your order. If you are doing a dry January, February, March, April, May, who knows? If you've decided just you want to sort of mix in with some alcohol-free options, Chantel has a great selection and really awesome for Valentine's Day. You get a lovely, sparkling, alcohol-free beverage. Last but not least, I also sponsor this show with my jewelry business, and my business is glamjewels.com. It's spelled GLAMJULZ.com. And we're actually having a big Valentine sale right now that goes on until the end of day tomorrow at midnight. So if you are looking for some beautiful jewels and you want to get a great deal, go to my website and you'll find them there. So are you guys ready to meet Bernhard Mueller? I hope so. He's an awesome guy, and he is Christy's Master Chocolatier. Many of you know Christy's Gourmet Gifts located here in Burlington, Ontario. Bernie has traveled the world pursuing his love of chocolate. With a European background, he grew up only... You know what? I have a little typo here. Terrible. He grew up enjoying chocolate. He is a self-professed chocolate snob and loves to talk chocolate with anyone willing to listen. Although serious about his chocolate, Bernie loves to make people laugh. He is a true character, and his sense of humor makes learning from him always a great time. His stories will keep you mesmerized. The website, christysgourmetgifts.com. You will probably want to click on that website during the interview while listening, because you will not be able to control your chocolate cravings. I just know that. And I met Bernie and his wife, Christy, way, way back when we were all starting our businesses and participating in several local artisan shows. With Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow, I knew Bernie would be the perfect guest for today. Let's bring him on. Bernie, are you there? Oh my gosh. We have a surprise guest, the Easter Bunny. This is... I love your ears, Easter Bunny. They're super floppy. Oh my goodness, what a treat. Do you have Bernie hiding out in the background there somewhere? Can you
Oh,
get him for us? Okay, thank you. Wow, you guys. I guess, I mean, it's time to start planning for Easter, right? That's the next holiday. Look, the bunnies are there.
buddy, it's
My
Valentine's
goodness.
Day, not
Oh,
Easter. Whew. The bunny's getting anxious.
the bunny wanted to be in the spotlight.
Yes, it is. Bunny doesn't realize we still have a couple more days of Valentine's Day. Because tomorrow all the guys show up. The guy Valentine Day purchase.
Oh my God. Yeah. Tomorrow is the guy day for sure. I
It
have
is.
that here too, Bernie. Tomorrow's the guy day.
It is. It is. So yeah,
Yeah.
we're busy up until tomorrow, and then it's the immediate flip to Easter. Right?
Oh my gosh, that's great. Well, I'm glad you got the bunny working behind the scenes. I hope you're delegating some of that chocolate making to him.
Well, yeah, the bunny's early this
And
year. Easter's
yeah,
end of March, so the bunny has shown
yeah,
up early this year. So we got
that's
to
right.
keep things moving. So how are things going?
Things are going good. I'm dying to know because we've had so many conversations and I've never asked you what you wanted to be as a kid. When you
Oh,
grew up, what did little Bernie want to
well,
be?
I can certainly tell you it wasn't a chocolatier. Right? I'm not even quite sure how that happened, but it was quite a flip, obviously. But growing up,
Yeah.
I always wanted to be a police officer. I even went to school and studied law enforcement, and was going to do that. And then I worked for the government for a number of years in protective services for the province of Ontario at Ontario Place, and that's where I met Christy. Was at Ontario
Oh,
Place. She worked there in first aid, and I worked there in security. And got to say, best job ever. Working down at Ontario
yeah.
Place summer, fantastic. And then, but I always wanted to run my own business as well. And so I took lots of business courses and started a painting business just to sort of run through the motions of running my business because I could also paint. So I did
Right.
that, and I did that for quite a few years. And I worked with designers like Candace Olson. I did her TV show for a number of years, and then Christy one day said, "What do you think about me going into our local craft show and doing Grandma's recipe?" And my famous words to her were, "Knock yourself out. Just don't expect me to help," right? Because I was too busy. And
Yeah.
you fast forward a couple of years, and it's like, oh, okay, she does need help now because it's kind of grown a lot. So she started
Yeah.
that when she was on mat leave with our second daughter, who's now
Okay.
will be turning 22 this year, right? So
Oh my God.
that's how we know how long we've been in business. Is how old is
Yeah.
Aiden? Oh, she's 21 right now. So we've been in business for 21 years. And
Oh.
but it got to a
I
point where,
think
yeah,
I was gonna say I think that we all met at this, would it be Spencer Smith down by the water? That's where I feel like maybe
well, was
we
there a
met
show
the
there?
first. Yeah, there was a show there.
Maybe you met Christy
Because
there.
I may have met Christy because I feel like we've always been together, like through the years,
Yeah, yeah,
similar shows and yeah, it's so
yeah.
cool.
It's yeah. So I had to make
Yeah.
the choice whether to leave my painting behind, and
Yeah.
which I actually love doing, but and then go into this full time. But at the time,
Mhm.
I didn't know a heck of a lot about chocolate, so I had to really learn a lot and really fast. And
Uh-huh.
so I took lots of courses and I started to travel. And
Yeah, so I was gonna say, Bernie, because you have like such a passion for chocolate now. I mean, you couldn't do what you're doing without loving chocolate, but
yeah,
the traveling that you've done. So can you kind of tell us about that? Like what at what point were you like, oh my God, this is like amazing,
yeah.
where you really felt like
Well,
chocolate
I've
was your
always known the difference between, run of the mill chocolate and good chocolate and great chocolate. And, growing up in a European family, we've always shopped at the specialty stores. So we always got the good chocolate, always Belgian and French chocolate. And, so got quite used to that. And then, so when I came to me working with it, well, I only wanted to use the good stuff, right? I can't use sorry to say this, but North American brands, right? Because the
Yeah.
North American brand is made for quantity, not quality. They want to make as much as you can, pump it out there, and make it as cheap as you can. Sort of like the Walmart effect is what I always call it. And so I look for the really specialty, niche-y stuff, and I'll bring that in. So our base chocolate line is Belgian, all from Belgium. And then I'll bring specialty items from South America, Central America, and France as well. So I always look for the specialty things. And then we also started dabbling in making bean to bar. We'll roast and grind my own beans, make my own chocolate. And I've been doing a lot of that for quite a while. Mostly not for the general public and sales, but more for some of my workshops, teach people how to make it. And let them try what actual chocolate, like real chocolate is,
So can you explain that a little bit? Because I mean, maybe some people have no idea where chocolate comes from or how it's made.
Yeah, well, I don't have any props with me, but I have like a cocoa pie is what it is. It's the size of a small football, sort of a football shape, and it grows right on the trunk of the tree. So not on the branches, on the trunk. It looks quite interesting. And then the inside is a fruit, and the fruit is quite tasty. And then inside the fruit is the seed. The seed is the bean, and it's the size of an almond, let's say. Then we have to, once you harvest it, you have to ferment it for 5 days in fermentation bins. And then you dry it in the sun. And then once it's dried, then it gets shipped up to us chocolate makers, and we'll turn it into chocolate. So then we got to roast it. You got to crack the shell. It's kind of like a peanut. You take the cacao, the nib, which is what the center is, and that's what we grind down. So I'll throw that into my grinder, and I'll turn that nib into a liquid, and that will be 100% chocolate, which I make a lot of, and I always have it in the back of the shop because, as we know, chocolate's healthy for you, right?
Yeah.
But the closer it is to being 100% chocolate, the better it is for you. All right. So
and what are some of the health benefits?
Well, antioxidants, loaded with antioxidants, good for circulation, heart health, things like that. So I always keep 100% chocolate on. It's not for everybody, right? It's pretty strong, but I like it. And you can really get the flavor nuances from the 100%, as in like what region it grew. And it's kind of like fine wine. Depending on where that chocolate came from, the climate of the area, the amount of rainfall, all that contributes to the overall flavor of the chocolate, the profile. So I've gone all over trying different regions, working with different farmers and learning their processes. And, I've gone to Costa Rica several times. I know a bunch of farmers down there that I work with. And I got to go to Ecuador on a little trip, a 4-day in and out, but we went to the rainforest and the Amazon, chopped sugarcane, went from there up into the Andes where I got to milk a cow. Never did that before. But a little tip, high altitude cows, higher fat, higher protein, affects the overall flavor of chocolate. Hence Swiss, French chocolate.
Yeah.
A little bit better. The milk is that much better as well. So same thing in South America. So we had to go up to 11,000 feet and milk a cow up there, and use that milk to blend into to milk chocolate that we made. And then,
my God.
And then the cacao, it grew naturally in its natural habitat, not a plantation. We got it from there, and then we blended all the ingredients together and made chocolate, which I do sell at the shop from time to time. I'm out right now, but I need to bring some more in. But
so those trips that you did, were you there with other chocolatiers, Bernie, or were you?
Yeah, when I first learned bean to bar, that was 7 or 8 years ago in Costa Rica. I worked with the chocolate maker one-on-one down there. Stayed in the jungle. If you don't like spiders, you won't like to go. Right? You're always walking into the spider web, and it's not like walking into a spider web up here where you kind of brush through it. There, it's like it's got me. It's got me. It's a big spider, So it's quite an experience, and working with that chocolate maker in Puerto Viejo, Costa Rica. Runs a great business down there. I highly recommend that guy if you ever go on a chocolate excursion. With the Ecuador trip, it was a company out of France that sent me, along with 16 other chocolate makers from across North America, down to see the whole process of their chocolate that they sell. So it was quite an honor. They paid for everything, hotels, meals, they had great chefs making us our meals at all these fancy restaurants. And, we took us up into the Andes, took us to the Amazon, took us down to the south where it's even hotter. And it's weird when you pack for the equator, by the way, you think, oh, it's going to be hot. No, they said you got to pack for 30 degrees Celsius, 15 degrees Celsius, and 0, right? Depending on where we were at that given time, so because up in the mountains, it's cold, so it was quite an experience. And I got to learn from them, the company, on how they do their process, and other chocolatiers from all over North America. So now I've got more chocolate friends across our country and the States. There's only 3 Canadians on that trip. The rest were all from the States. But fantastic trip.
Wow, that's fascinating. So,
yeah.
Have you got another one planned? Like, do you keep doing them, or?
I don't have one planned at this given time. I've but they come up. Right, they just pop up. I do have a workshop planned with a group that I'm with, a whole bunch of chocolatiers from North America, different group. We get together every year. This year it's actually in Toronto, so it's going to be local. But normally I travel every year, and that's every May. And basically that workshop is we just work together, right? And they know me for certain things I do, so they'll approach me and say, how do you make your sponge toffee? I've been having a heck of a time with it, and I'll show them. And they've got this great caramel recipe, for example, and then I'll want to learn how they make their caramel. So it's just a workshop, a brainstorming session. We rent out a commercial kitchen space and have a great time. Then go for a great dinner, and catch up. Yeah, it's a great.
Oh, I love the collaboration of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, Bertie. I'm sure I saw something where you were. Did you develop a chocolate with a local brewery?
Oh yeah, well, Nickelbrook. Yeah, I worked with him quite a bit, John from Nickelbrook, and I made a beer brittle with it, and we continued making that. We introduced that probably about 10 years ago now, and I keep tweaking it. We're always bringing in new concepts and new equipment where we can change the profile of it. So now we've got different versions of the beer brittle, and but that's a steady, it's a mainstay now product line of ours. We found that originally when we went to California, Napa Valley, there was a wine infused toffee, and then we wanted to see how we could incorporate wine and beer into some of our products. So it's kind of nice, when you work with beer, that you always have a keg of beer in the fridge.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, much like wine pairing or anything like that, like you guys also educate people a lot on, pairing chocolate with different things like cheeses and wines and these kinds of things.
Yeah, wine especially, it kind of goes hand in hand with a fine chocolate and a fine wine, because the process is kind of similar. With regards to like how cacao is grown, and in the climate, similar with wine, you get different wine regions that produce different flavors. Likewise with chocolate, and then you try to kind of match the two together, and so a fine wine with a fine chocolate, on a nice charcuterie board. So we do sell our chocolate to a couple wineries that do put together charcuterie boards and blend it with it, and they've matched it up to certain wines that they produce. One of the ones that we enjoy going to all the time is the Roost up just in the Beaver Valley, right close to Blue Mountain, about 10 minutes away, and gorgeous views of the valley, and you're drinking this wine that they produce there, and eating this great charcuterie board. So we've even ordered our own charcuterie board when we've been there.
That's so nice. Okay, so what on the charcuterie board you have chocolate, and then have you got cheese and other things with the chocolate?
Yeah, that's it. Like it's got a little bit of fruit, and then it's got some cheeses, and it's got we have a cacao, like raw chocolate that we make, where we take the nibs, and I just candy coat them a little bit. Excuse me.
Right.
And so then it's like eating a 70% unrefined chocolate bar. So it's only two ingredients, a little bit of organic cane sugar and some cacao blended together, and they're like granola clusters. But it is exactly the same ingredients as a 70% chocolate bar.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
70% is a key number in the chocolate world because that's the cutoff. That's where we kind of created that cutoff between when chocolate's good for you and when it's no longer good for you, right? And that's a 70% line. So anything 70% and above is considered good for you or better for you. And the higher you go, the better it is. And once you go below 70%, well, then it's just delicious and you just enjoy it as a treat. It's not about the health benefits at that point, right? Because there's too much sugar at that point. Yeah.
Right. But I've noticed too with like a 72% to me is like perfect. And then I've tried sometimes, well, I think Lint, they make like an 85%
Yeah.
maybe. And it's
Yes.
kind of chalky, like it
Yeah.
gets, I don't know.
It does. It does get a little chalky, little bitter. You got to sort of adapt to it. And the one good thing about eating the really bitter bars, if you have that chocolate craving, you only need a square or two, and that satisfies the craving. Because you don't, with an 85% bar, you're not gonna eat the whole thing. You're just gonna have a couple squares, and then you're good, and that's all you need. And then you can move on. Then you hit the potato chips.
Exactly. Now I gotta ask you, how much chocolate do you eat a day?
Well, I've tried to cut back, but the problem is when you're constantly making different new chocolate and bringing in new brands, you're always trying it. Like that Ecuador brand, I'm glad I don't have it in stock right now because that hands down is my favorite. Like that milk Ecuador, oh my God, it is so good. And it's a 41%, which means it's got higher cocoa content in it, which is because a little more of a bold chocolate leans sort of towards dark. So it's got that real chocolate flavor, but then it's got the creaminess of that, those high altitude cows that we spoke about, right? So I eat that like crazy because it's so good. I try not to. And then I've got like these little hearts I've just made for Valentine's Day. That's made like this little heart here is made with a whole handful of strawberries. So I take the strawberries and I'll make our own chocolate out of the strawberry. I blend the cocoa butter, cane sugar, and a lot of strawberries to make my own strawberry. And then I get red naturally, with from strawberries, and that's delicious. It tastes like you're eating an actual strawberry because the strawberry intenseness is so strong. I do that with raspberries and blueberries and things like that. So I'll load up on those fruits, make our own chocolate.
Okay. I find that fascinating. I actually shared that video in my stories of all the strawberries like going into the oven. So what's the process? Do you actually dry them out? Is it like fruit leather kind of idea, or
you can't have any moisture in chocolate at all, right? So if there's any water content in there, it will seize. It'll just turn into like a lump of clay. You can't do anything with it. So I got to get all the moisture out. So I dry it. And I powder it. And then, and so I'll take fresh strawberries, dry it, powder it. And that takes 50 hours to do that process. So it's a long process. And then the yield that you get out of it, like I said, like a handful of strawberries goes into that little. So we need a lot of strawberries just to make a little chocolate. So
right, because it's a handful of dried strawberries, right?
Yes,
it's not
So when I dry it out, which takes 50 hours, I can only do so much. What do I get? I get a couple pounds worth in total, and that's so it's not enough for me to do high volume of it, but it's great for using the red. I use the reds for decorating, like in Halloween, for example, on our skulls. I do the blood dripping off its head is strawberry or raspberry chocolate. Right. That's
that's so cool.
There's no red food coloring because red food coloring gives you nightmares, that sort of thing. Right. So we color it natural ingredients. As best as much as. Oh my
God! I had no idea. That is really cool. Yeah. So what are those little strawberry hearts? What are they, like $75?
No, they're not. No, I keep it affordable. Like we definitely charge way less than what it should be. But to charge what it should be, it'd be too expensive. So I just throw those in, like these little hearts come in one of our boxes of bonbons, and that's actually a strawberry melt away. So in the center, I do like a strawberry cream melt away, and but all strawberries. Outside shell is 100% strawberry, inside is blended to give it that melt away flavor.
God, but what a beautiful gift! Like honestly, that is so nice.
It's
Yeah.
something really different, unique,
Yeah.
so we're always trying to come
Yeah.
up with fun things. So
Yeah, well, you guys have really cool ideas, and I love what you do. Well, one of the things you did for Father's Day was you took like Dad's root beer and
oh, yes.
you had it poured chocolate all over it, and then it's what did you call them? Like a smash?
It's
Was it?
well, it's a dad's. It's for Father's Day, so dad's
Yeah,
is we put on
yeah.
the dads, and it's a bottle with caramel, pretzels, salt, chocolate, and it's tearaway. So you just I have two ribbons. You just pull the ribbons, and chocolate just drops off the bottle. The chocolate's not actually right on the bottle. I have an inner bag that you don't see, and carve out the
Oh,
label so you see that. So it is the bottle is covered with a food grade bag that you don't see until you actually tear it away, and then it just drops
okay.
off. And we do that for wine bottles as well. We
Yeah.
don't, just in case anyone's looking for it on our website, we don't put it on our website because I get sort of inundated with wine bottle requests, especially at Christmas. And I can only do so many. Like when you work with the wrist, I can only do 12 at one go. And that's it because my wrist is just burning from holding a wine
Yeah.
bottle. You feel how heavy
Oh,
those things are
yeah.
after doing that for 2 hours. It's quite heavy. So I only do a few. We don't advertise it, but the people who know we do it, they know we do it, and we just leave it at that. Right. So
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of that, like that's a really I'm glad you brought that up because you're an artist, you're working with your hands all day, you're creating, and yeah, there is wear and tear. I feel it too over the years. It's like
yeah, yeah,
20
you feel
or
it.
how about is it? Yeah, over 20 years now. But so you also do a lot of corporate gifting. So
Yes.
how do you kind of like just as as a business person managing all of the things, how does that work get
Well,
done?
it
Yeah,
takes a team. It takes a big team, right?
yeah,
Like I have no brain space for that, right? For the
yeah.
coordinating. I'm just in production and I can't think outside my production window. That's just me. I'm single focused and
Mhm.
we'll work crazy hard, but I've got a team of people that will take the orders, put the orders together. We have gift wrapping, and then we have a separate unit here in our complex where we do just strictly wrapping it and putting it together. Because when you get an order for hundreds and hundreds of corporate gifts, they take up a lot of real estate, so you need to store those
Yes.
so they're ready to go, and then we have to, get them ready, ship them out. So it takes up
Mhm.
a lot of space, but I've got it is quite a job juggling all that, like when things need to go out. Cause at Christmas time, especially one of a kind and our corporate orders, like the bulk of our big corporate orders go out at the exact same time as one of a kind, right? That
Oh,
is because one of a kind is 11 days. I call that the worst 11 days of our entire year, right? Because it is so hard. It involves many all-nighters. It's grueling.
yeah,
So
it is.
it's a tough time for us, but once Christmas comes, that's it. You don't see it again until the following Christmas, at least not to that
Yeah.
extent. I mean, Easter is busy and Valentine's as well, but not like Christmas. Christmas is, the corporate gifts are big at that time of year, where the rest of the year, the corporate isn't as big, you know.
Yeah. So with the corporate gifts, Bernie, do you find like a lot of the time they'll look at what you do and say, "Oh, I love this design. I'll take 100 of that," or do people actually come to you with their own kind of branded ideas
Well,
for
some
chocolate?
people come with their own ideas and they'll want like some of their own packaging. That doesn't happen too often, but they'll have
Yeah.
or brand their own cards or what to go with it. And then of
Okay.
course we'll do like corporate ribbons and stuff like that on it. But
Okay.
they like going to a place like us that's unique and makes things that you don't find at Costco or Walmart or the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's one-off items. So when
Mhm.
they receive that, it's not something that you see sitting on a shelf at Costco, right? Like a gift basket.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're great and everything, but it's a Costco gift basket. Not much thought goes
Yeah.
into that. A lot of people like to put thought into their gifts, and make it something unique. So they want stuff in there that you're not going to find at a local store, and they
Mhm.
want something with knowing it's a high end chocolate, and because I make sure
Yeah.
everyone knows that because we spend a lot of money bringing this chocolate in, so we make sure people know we're using the good stuff here, and
Yeah.
And that translates. It translates to their customers and their clients, knowing that, they put in the thought into this gift to go to their clients. So it gives that, an extra special kind of feel to it.
Yeah, beautiful. Because I was just thinking, like, even for somebody like me, like I'm a jewelry designer, could you make me a chocolate of a big diamond,
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will do custom molds. Actually, it's kind of funny. I don't know if you ever seen those cat wine bottles at the LCBO.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing joke with my group of friends, and we started collecting them. Right. This year, the LCBO did not have them. They didn't carry. And every year, it's a collector's item, and it's a different color and it's of course from Germany as well. Right. So it's a sweet wine, and
Yeah.
so this year, because LCBO didn't carry it, I made one out of chocolate and brought it out that one night, and everyone thought it was another bottle that I had found, but I made an exact replica out of chocolate out of this cat wine. I wish I had it here, but I don't.
Oh, that's great.
So I like making unique things, and one of a kind, for example, has that competition piece you always do, and just found out yesterday, as a matter of fact, that the spring one is bloom. So now, of course, my mind's going, okay, I've got to make chocolate flowers. I got to make, so I've got all these thoughts in my head right now as to what we're going to put together for that show.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The Christmas one is hard to do because they were so slammed, busy, and then trying to make a centerpiece display showpiece for Christmas is always challenging, right? Because we never run out of time, but we always put something together, right?
Yeah, that's great. And Bernie, I've known you for so long, and to me, you're like, it just seems like you're never stressed. Like you're such a magnificent creator. And then, when I see you at the shop, you're just like, you're just like, you always seem to be
I think
a person who loves what they're doing.
I think Christy absorbs all that stress on my behalf. He's the one that's stressed out about it. Oh, I do get stressed, but it's more of a stress over timing, like with not enough time to get what needs to be done. But we do have like phenomenal staff that work, and that's key, is having great people with you. And we've got a really good team. They work so hard, especially at Christmas. And oh my God, I can't thank them enough. So
good.
As long as I don't break them.
Yeah. So the very first recipe you guys started out with was the crunch, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that was the crunch. That's a butter toffee recipe, and it's Christy's grandmother's recipe. And it's it's this old recipe book of hers. All the pages have long since yellowed, and it's just a recipe Christy pulled out one day and took that recipe to a friend's dinner party that we went to, and everyone loved it. And then went to another one. She did it again, and everyone loved it. And then she's like, oh, maybe I'll just, because she was on mat leave at the time, maybe I'll go into this little craft show in our community. We started the business in Streetsville, Mississauga, and she went to the craft show there, did really well, and then she thought she would do another one, and then she went all in. Like she took some courses at Guelph Food Technologies and understood the whole, like, there's a lot that goes into it with packaging and labeling and whatnot. There's a lot of rules and regulations around it. And also learned very fast that you can't do it out of your house. You have to have a facility. So she found a facility. We used, what did we use? We used church basements. We got a cooking school that we got to use in the off hours. And, you make it work, right? And that's how it evolved. But it was that one butter crunch toffee from Christy's grandmother from way, way back, in the day, and it's been with us ever since. And that's still our mainstay. We have a lot of other things that do well, but that's our mainstay, is our butter crunch toffee.
That was going to be my next question. Yeah. So, now the other thing I'm really curious about, I'm not a big fan of it, and I don't really get it, is white chocolate.
Yes.
Is that really chocolate?
Well, I say yes. Canadian Food Inspection Agency says yes, right? As by definition. So white chocolate can be good. Like I like white chocolate so long as it's good white chocolate, because bad white chocolate is terrible. It is absolutely terrible. And the difference is real white chocolate's made of cocoa butter. All right. Cocoa butter is the fat component from the cocoa bean, right? So 52% of that bean is cocoa butter. So when you press it, you get the butter out of it. And that's what white chocolate is made. from. Is it cocoa butter, sugar, milk, and there you have white chocolate. All right, so it's missing the cocoa mass. So basically, in layman's terms, the brown part, right, is missing, right? So there's enough of the bean from cocoa to justify calling it chocolate. So that's why it's called. You're allowed to call it chocolate. But a lot of there's a lot of chocolate companies, and they'll say they can't call it candy bar, right? I pick it out all the time. I'll see it in the store, and it's like, oh, that's not chocolate, and they're calling it chocolate. They're not allowed to call it chocolate. They can call it, chocolatey flavored, right? Because it's not the white chocolate, but even like dark and brown chocolate made with palm oil. So they take the cocoa butter out, so now there's not enough of the bean in it to justify calling it chocolate. So they have to call it, like, you'll go to Bulk Bar and you see candy melts, that same thing. They can't call it chocolate, that they call it candy melts. It does have some of the bean in it, the brown stuff, right? Cocoa powder. It has some of that in it for flavor, but it doesn't have the cocoa butter, which is it's a big ingredient, especially in white chocolate. So white chocolate, out of the chocolate I order, is the most expensive for us to buy because of the large amounts of cocoa butter in it. And cocoa butter is the most expensive ingredient in chocolate. So I do call it chocolate. I know a lot of people don't want to call it chocolate, but by definition, it's technically allowed to be called chocolate. But because it doesn't have that other component.
I'm coming to you to try white chocolate because I don't think I've ever had. I don't recall that I've ever had like a premium white chocolate.
So a lot of people are traumatized by those white chocolate Allen's Easter bunnies that they had as kids. Which is sweetened wax, as far as I'm concerned. It's like chocolate. Plastic chocolate.
It's like the Kinder eggs.
Yeah, it's made with it's made with palm oil, like hydrogenated palm oil. Then they're shifting away from that because CFIA is not allowing hydrogenated oils anymore, right? So they have to shift away from that. But it was like sugar, number one ingredient, hydrogenated palm oil, number two, right? So it was a lot of the bad stuff in it, a lot, and then sweet and bad stuff is really what it was, So, but it's amazing how many people I find selling the fake chocolate and calling it chocolate. Which as a chocolatier drives us crazy, right? Absolutely.
Of course.
Because it's not only is it really cheap to buy, but to work with. Like it is a fraction of the labor because there's no tempering. You just melt and pour it. It's done. You don't have to do anything, right? By hand, you got to temper it and you got to get it right. Sometimes not right. You got to remelt it. Now I've got machines to temper it for me, but those machines are expensive, so a lot of effort and money and time goes into making good chocolate, and whereas you can use fake chocolate as well, and the candy melts, and then you don't have to do anything. It's cheaper to buy, cheaper for labor, and any labor can do it. You don't have to know anything about chocolate to use that stuff. But
that's wild. So I wanted to ask you too, Bernie, because I was sharing with you when we were backstage there about like how I like to host women's events at my studio, and I keep thinking I gotta have Bernie in here and we could like to do a chocolate making workshop. So what are sort of like when you do workshops, when you come to somebody, what can we expect? Like what do you do exactly?
Well, I love going to those events because I love talking about chocolate, right? So but what I normally do in these workshops is I'll always bring cocoa beans there. So people can try it. I do a tasting. So we start off with the tasting. So you get to try really cheap chocolate and the fake stuff and all that. And then I go up the ladder to the really good stuff, the stuff that you can't find anywhere, the unique stuff. And so we talk about that. We talk about why good chocolate is good chocolate and why bad chocolate is bad chocolate. And then from there, we move to making our own. I always like to do our own little batch of chocolate where I've got some roasted beans. I let people hands-on winnowing. That's how you take the shell off. Let people do that. So it's a hands-on workshop. And then we take that and we grind them and make chocolate. So we turn that bean into a liquid chocolate. Now that process takes a long time. So I let the machine run for a couple of days, and then people can come back to you and pick up the chocolate bar that was made at their event. So that sort of personal feeling. We'll customize it. Like, how sweet do you want it? percentage, and we'll tweak it like that. And then we'll just then I teach people how to temper chocolate. So I'll bring out some other chocolate, and I've got a marble slab I'll bring, and then we temper the chocolate, and then we start pouring molds and making little things, and you get the more you make, the more you take. So you get to bring home lots of stuff, and we all have fun, and and that's what we do. Bring some wine.
That's great.
Yeah,
and I love your like how people can come back to you to pick up the finished product, because that's such a great idea. As a small business owner, that's one of the challenges, is getting people to come to our
come back.
physical locations, come see what we do. And what a nice experience they get to, have this event outside of your space, and then they get to come into your space and actually
and come up, pick up a bar, and then they, pick up a bar and pick up a few other things. And we'll do that like when we do that at wineries and breweries and stuff like that as well. The same concept. I'll just leave it. I'll make the chocolate. I'll send all the chocolate to that winery and brewery, and tell the people, come back a week later and pick up your bar. And it's part of the cost of the workshop. And so they come and get it for free at that point. And then when they're there, they'll grab a bottle of wine or some beer, whatever.
Right. And I was thinking of it the other way. I love that. If we did it here at my place, because you're also in Burlington and you're not far, I would send them to you to pick up, so they could shop more.
Then they get to see, if they haven't been to the shop, then they get to see us, right? Because it's amazing. Like, we've been around for like 21 years. We've been at this location for, I think we're coming up to 15 or 14. But how many people in Burlington still haven't heard of us? We've been here a long time now. And so we run into people all the time that have never heard of us, and they'll see us at a show, and but so it's always nice to have them come into our shop, because Christy, right? So she does to the nines, and keeps me busy when I'm not making chocolate. I'm doing crown molding or painting cabinetry and stuff like that because of my background in that.
It is such a beautiful space. Like,
she's
you go there and you feel like you're in another world. It's just so dreamy and
she's got the eye for it, because she is an artist herself. Like, she can draw everything. So she draws, like, for example, our showpieces. If we're discussing it, she'll draw it out, and I'll have a sketch, and I'll have it on the walk-in fridge there, and then I build it according to the sketch. And that's usually how we build the showpieces, because she's got the eye for it, and then she can draw it just perfect. And likewise with our shop, she draws sketches all the time. Her dad, I'm sure you've met her dad before, maybe on occasion, but he's over here building the cabinets. He's done so much as far as building our displays. All the show displays built by Brian as well. So it honestly is a team effort and a family effort. When everything comes together. And Diane, my mother-in-law, who just walked in here 10 minutes ago, didn't realize we're doing this, but she's our accountant. So it's like, it truly is a family effort. And of course, our kids get lassoed in as well during busy season, and they also work for us. So, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love this, because it's, I think, becoming more important to people that, where they're buying things that they love, like chocolate and jewelry and like you said, like, you can go to Costco, but it's not the same. Like, how wonderful to get a gift from you and then give it to somebody else, and a little bit about the family who made the whatever you bought. It's so
a lot of
lovely.
the times, like, the staff won't even let me come out to talk with the customers, because they know I'll be gone for 30 minutes. I'll get locked into a conversation about chocolate and whatever, right? And which I love doing, but I just don't have time. Most of the time, the off season, though, if you come in here in the summertime, I'm here. I'll spend time with everybody. Right?
Yes, of course.
But
that's great. So people can still come see you, like now for chocolate for Valentine's. There's still some left. Okay.
There is. We don't run, like, I have a rule, or I try to have a rule that doesn't. I can't always follow it, but we don't run out, right? Like,
okay.
Especially our core products, we have in the past, we've had to close down until we could rebuild stock, but we don't run out. I'll work till 3, 4 in the morning all night, making sure that those stocks, the shelves are stocked. Right. So Valentine's Day, I was here last night making more because we know today's gonna be a push, and tomorrow will be the push for all those guys coming late. Right.
Yeah.
And but we want to make sure we have stuff. Right. So I'll always keep producing. I haven't stopped producing Valentine's and shifted to Easter. I have a little bit, but I'm still producing Easter. I don't stop and go, okay, now it's Easter. A lot of places might stop a couple of weeks ago and focus on Easter. I take Valentine's Day right to the day of, just to make sure I don't run out, to make sure that it's taken care of.
Yeah, and also for people who are watching who don't know where you are, I mean, it is so easy to get to you if you're coming off the highway. You just go north on Guelph Line, and you're right at the corner.
Walker's Line.
Or sorry, Walker's Line. My God, Guelph Line. Yeah, Walker's Line, and then you're right there on the corner. There's a Petco Canada station, and then you're the little plaza.
Yeah, we're not a traditional retail plaza either. So it's more of a commercial plaza, and we're tucked in behind the Petro Canada. So as long as you know where the Petro Canada is, directly across the street from Judge and Jury, we're tucked in behind there. Sometimes I call it the hidden plaza because sometimes people have trouble finding it, but once you know where we are, you'll always know.
Yeah, it's Walker's and Mainway. That's the intersection.
Yeah, that's the intersection. Yeah, like a block off the highway. Super easy to get here,
Yeah, perfect. Bernie, I've loved talking to you about chocolate. This has been awesome.
Oh, I love talking.
And your story is great.
Thanks. Well, I've got lots more. So if you put together a workshop, I've got several hours there to talk about all my chocolate stories, because I've got some good jungle stories of making chocolate in the jungle. So,
good. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
We're going to plan an event. I love it. I'm going to put you in the virtual green room. I'll be right back to you, Bernie.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Who is racing over to Christie's to get some chocolate? You have to. I'm telling you, their crunch is like so amazing. It's addictive. I know you've heard about these types of addictive chocolates before, but there is nothing like Christie's. So go there, visit, go on their website, get some chocolate. You'll love it. Christie'sGourmetGifts.com. Bernie was amazing. Thank you for watching. Thank you to our sponsors, Brenda Bedome, Scooters, Flourish and Bass, GlamJewels.com. And I can't wait to see you back here next week with another amazing guest. Keep on showing the world your sparkle, and thanks for being here. Happy Valentine's Day. Bye for now.